This is a Collider.com audio interview.
So, I was hoping we could do some press before this shot.
You've got 20 minutes.
We are here to oblige.
You've answered our prayers. Personal questions only, please.
So, could you sort of talk about how happy you are? Everyone knows how much you loved playing Sherlock Holmes and you wanted to do this. Could you sort of talk about how happy both of you are to be back in character doing a sequel so soon?
Sure. Well, I mean, ever since Mr. Law and I met, the chuckles and the fun and the happiness come, but we're really quite about the business, very much, I believe, as Holmes and Watson were. So, if it's, 99% perspiration, we definitely, you're going to love this. We like getting sweaty together. I mean, we like working our asses out. We like the work.
We like the work, and we find fun in the work.
Yes, we do.
And I think also it's a very happy, every so often you get to play wonderful characters but maybe at the wrong time in your life, and sometimes you get to play terrible characters at a really great time in your life, and and sometimes the right character comes along at the right time. And I think we both felt that happened, and so it wasn't just happening individually, it was also watching someone else have that experience. And so, like Robert said, we're working hard, but we're also enjoying it tremendously. It's the perfect balance.
It's so nice to have an opportunity to me, Sherlock, being as successful as it was and being received as well as it was by people, is probably the single greatest feeling I've ever had about something, because,
because you weren't expecting it to be received so well?
Half my problem, if I do have a problem, that I could speak about half of that problem, I would say it's that every time I swing, I think it's going out of the park, and so I still try to keep that attitude. But I knew that we had a real winning combination, and I knew there was just something clicked with us. I've never had someone say, "Oh my God, you have such great screen chemistry with him." It's what made the movie work, and everything else was kind of ancillary and tributary to that. And then us triangulating and the synergy we found with Guy. It's a tough thing. How do you recreate having caught lightning in a bottle and having had, I'm not used to, well, maybe a little more lately than before, I'm not used to studios being ecstatic about what we did and saying, please go do that again, I've only had one.
And it was a relief too, right? Because I remember on the first one, we were coming up with so many ideas or digging out little details from the books, or just as part of our process when we were riffing, like coming up with stuff that we just knew couldn't fit into the first one.
Yeah.
And that carried on throughout the whole press tour. We were coming, wouldn't it be great if da-da-da-da, or I pictured this. So when it was a success and when we knew it was pretty likely the second one was going to happen, it was also like a relief, because it was like, we can use all that stuff, thank goodness, thank you, And so it felt like suddenly there was going to be a home for all this other creative outpouring that had already occurred.
Yeah, and just quickly, in reintroducing it to an audience, introducing it to certain audiences for the first time, their initial context of Sherlock Holmes was seeing, Jude and I do this movie. The nice thing this time around is we're able to honor Doyle even more by pretty much making this a story, a very thrilling story, not unlike one of the Conan Doyle stories that Watson is retelling. So you get back to the subjectivity of, here's this normal person in these, an ordinary, if you would, person in these extraordinary circumstances with his friend.
Some time has elapsed since the first film, so what's different for the two characters this time around?
Not a lot of time has elapsed. I am nearly married. I'm a couple of days away from getting married.
Right.
I've moved out, and I'm living very, very comfortably with Mary. And
how dare you even say this?
And I'm surprised she's not here. Actually, to join in.
I arranged it. And as indicated by the end of the last film, Holmes is definitively obsessed with the first supervillain in literature, Moriarty, for whom we have the astonishingly fantastic Jared Harris.
sequels tend to go darker. That seems to be the new trend.
Oh.
You're almost very light. I mean, is the follow-up going to keep that? Or?
I don't know about you, but I find it kind of hard to... I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because we all said the same. We were like, oh, yeah, we'll get really dark this time. We'll make it really nasty and gritty. And I don't know why there's that trend, but you're right. It does seem to be so. But we went in with, I think, that in mind. I think there's certainly the threat of Moriarty and the presence of such an evil kind of mind certainly leads it that way. But we tend to have been coming up with more lighter stuff, don't you think? The two of us.
I think honestly is that it's both. It's a little tiny bit broader and it's a little bit darker, just because of the fella in the situation we're up against, and we definitely he reaches out and touches us quite a bit, so to speak, and that we're in pretty
bad shape.
Pretty bad shape almost all the time.
No drug taking Holmes yet.
Huh?
No drugs then for Holmes.
Oh, you mean like he had to sober up so he could have a chance?
Yeah.
No, of course he's high. Rather, no, it's not like it's not like Watson brought him, fucking dried him out in a bath or something. Still struggles.
So you say you went back to Doyle for this book. For this film. You've gone back to some of the original Doyle stuff. With the introduction of Moriarty, is this a bit more like The Final Problem?
It is a little more like The Final Problem, but having said that, there are also, as with the other one, there are other kind of hints at other books that are sort of laced in, and there are also areas that are completely original. But it's closer to a book, being The Final Problem, than the original, than the first. Yeah.
And I mean, just to be clear thematically, as opposed to last time it was an origin story with these two guys, and you're kind of meeting both of them.
Yeah.
And by the end, he's saying, "What are those?" He goes, "Oh, just scribbles." This time, he is kind of living and recanting a story to an audience after the fact, kind of.
It's interesting talking about the
narration,
time.
like you'll be narrating parts?
I don't know yet. So far without narration, who knows how it's going to wind up? But Christ, what am I editing it to? I should. Now, can we just take a vote? Show of hands.
But tonally, it's interesting answering that question when you're in the middle of making it, because you're only aware of what you want it to be like and what the energy wants it to be like, and then you're also aware of what you've shot. So it's quite hard to. I mean, what is clear is there are huge scenes that there's much more sense of. There's us fleeing this time, which there's us hunting down. There are a lot more riddles. There are a lot more. We're out. I mean, I don't know whether you know this, but we're not. It's not a lot of it's not in London. We're kind of fleeing London, and so there's a real sense, in a way, of living out of a bag. Hence, him wearing my tweeds at the moment.
That's right. They're not as loose as I thought they'd be.
Are you being chased out of London?
No.
Chased out.
No.
I'm interested in your relationship with Stephen Fry. Do you have like a brotherly contact with him? Do you have a brotherly relationship with him?
No one has any contact with him.
That's true.
No, seriously.
Yeah,
we're not allowed
he's
to touch him.
Yeah. No one's allowed to touch Mycroft.
He doesn't
Stephen, we've all had our way with. Yeah, he's his character, is arguably the most enigmatic of all the characters in the lexicon. And so, what better person? And it's so funny too that he's literally just hitting this kind of super stride. Just as we're here, we went and saw him at Albert Hall, and then he's at a rehearsal with us, just basically, thinking and phrasing circles around us, and we're just kind of left wondering what happened when he left, but he has to go because he has some other hip thing he has to do. But
he was the youngest member of the Sherlock Holmes Appreciation Society when he was a boy.
Baker Street Irregulars or the Appreciation Society?
The Irregulars.
The Irregulars?
You're right, there's a difference, I don't know. But anyway, he was the youngest member.
I guarantee you he knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about your character's relationship with Newby's character?
Where does she come in?
Yeah.
She comes on board because she is a link early on that Holmes picks up on, and then she becomes a kind of partner, if you like, because she is incredibly handy in different ways. I don't want to let too much go. She's also emotionally involved. By the time we meet her in her home, on her home turf, she's emotionally involved in what we're trying to work out, so she kind of comes along for the whole journey.
We have a common goal.
When you play the same character in a franchise like this, I know you have very experience in Iron Man. What are you most careful about? I mean, what are you trying to do differently from the previous?
You just want it to grow. I mean, you're aware that you want to not repeat stuff, but you want to use what's worked. But equally, you don't want to be accused of just you're just going over the old. You know what I mean? You want it to start growing a little bit more.
What do you think Conan Doyle would have thought about Sherlock and Watson?
Well, I'm sure he might have had a complaint or two, but of any of the productions on, well, I can't speak to the transcripts from stage productions, but we've definitely put the most of his words in our mouth. And I think rather, if anything, he might be happy that we brought Watson back to how he was originally described. And there's something about it that, last time around there was, for some reason or other, it was that wave of just bromance was in the air and all that stuff. And I think that this time we're attempting to transcend that a little bit by making these two guys just up against something bigger than both of them. And, But I guess the main thing is if I've learned anything, it's that comparison is a dangerous place to go, because nothing is ever like anything else. And so I always think that a sequel, you assume, is a logical continuation of something you already understand, but I don't understand how we did it the first time. So just going to comparison, I just confuse myself.
I think when you've got a source material, whether it's a play or a book or, a great writer is often always, it appreciates being adapted, being developed. And, it's like you go and see a production of a great play. They're always different. There's always room for interpretation. And this is our interpretation. And I don't think we drifted as far away from the source material as people expected. But equally, I think we were original enough to keep it fresh and our own. And so I think he would have been very appreciative.
In the first movie, there are a few allusions to Watson's gambling problems, but we don't really see too much about it. Do you guys expand upon it this time around?
I promise.
Oh, yeah. we tackle that within the first 10 minutes,
It's a problem.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think we went far enough. I'd like to see you not be able to afford the wedding or anything. Oh well, there's always next time.
Yeah, there's next time. We tackle all those little kind of seedlings that were planted are looked at, I think, pretty much. Yeah.
And we can assume Mary's not too thrilled about the gambling?
That's the least of her problems.
Yeah, that's true.